The Canadian Grand Prix will answer a lot of questions about who currently is the best team in F1, and among them, whether or not Red Bull is indeed on the decline, with the team bringing further upgrades to the cars, and Ferrari and McLaren in spotlight since they were the only teams that have beaten Red Bull this year. We are in for a very interesting Grand Prix, one that could shape the rest of the season. While it is not Monaco levels of tight, the Canadian circuit has claimed many a driver's pride, and the Wall of Champions is always hungry to add another name to its hit list. With that in mind, let's see which team will bring what to the Gilles Villeneuve circuit. After the difficulties faced in Miami, Imola and Monaco, where the RB20 struggles with bumps and curbs became evident, it's no surprise that the world champion has been using Red Bull Simulator since the last race to prepare for what could be another challenging event. A quick lap around the circuit Gilles Villeneuve requires aggressive navigation over the curbs, particularly at the high-speed chicanes. However, Red Bull has recently discovered that its 2024 F1 car is not well suited for this. The team has yet to provide a clear explanation for why it struggles so much on curbs and bumps, but the prevailing theory is that their aggressive aerodynamic developments have limited the car's setup flexibility, necessitating mechanical compromises. There's little doubt that the RB20 still holds a significant advantage on smooth tracks with high aerodynamic demands that also require good rear tyre management. For instance, Red Bull is expected to dominate the Spanish Grand Prix later this month. However, not all tracks are smooth, and when Red Bull needs to raise the car's ride height to handle bumps and curbs, it seems to fall out of its optimal setup range. Moving forward, the key challenge for Red Bull is how to improve its performance relative to its competitors when the rear ride height must be increased. Both McLaren and Ferrari have made significant progress in this area with recent upgrades, and if Red Bull's compromises are fixed, it offers the opposition a chance to compete more closely. If we look at the remaining races, it is possible to group the tracks into those venues that could be more difficult for Red Bull because they require good low-speed performance, either because of the nature of the corners or the presence of bumps/curbs. Equally, there are some venues where the RB20's aerodynamic advantage will come into its own and leave McLaren and Ferrari with little hope of the win. And interestingly, the split seems pretty equal. Those venues where Red Bull's weakness could be exposed because of bumps or curb riding are Canada, Austria, Hungary, Italy, Azerbaijan, Singapore, Brazil, and Las Vegas. On the flip side, the races that should pose little problem because they are at high-speed venues or smooth surfaces are Spain, Britain, Belgium, the Netherlands, the United States, Mexico, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi. But there is a huge caveat to all the above, and it is that the list is only relevant if Red Bull does not quickly come to understand what has been causing its problems and move to address it. Imola and Monaco in particular came at the team so fast that there was no time to respond, but there has been some breathing space since to better comprehend things, and there will be a host of opportunities for Red Bull to do things differently, just as it transformed its car from the Friday to the Saturday of Imola, and mask any problem area that has surfaced. And that's ignoring the potential for upgrades that are already coming through the system. Denny Hulme's rise from 6 to F1 for McLaren's second F1 win, Lewis Hamilton's maiden F1 win, Jenson Button's incredible drive in 2011. Canada has been home of some historic McLaren moments, but lately, the Woking team's fortunes at the track could hardly have been worse. The fact that Kevin Magnussen and Button were the last McLaren drivers to score points for the team in Canada says everything you need to know, but Montreal has always been a circuit where reliability has been a real issue. Since 2014, McLaren have suffered 6 DNFs, which is 3 times the points they have scored in the same period. Last year's results saw Lando Norris finish P13, having started 7th, while Oscar Piastri slipped from P8 to outside the points in 11th. For years, McLaren struggled with grip in long, low-speed corners and a lack of aerodynamic efficiency, which hindered its top speeds. The much-anticipated upgrades in 2023, introduced in Austria and Singapore, significantly improved its performance in high-speed sections, making it arguably the second-best car on the grid on certain circuits like Qatar. Despite these upgrades, its weaknesses persisted throughout the year until the first upgrade package in Miami, where Lando Norris achieved his maiden Grand Prix victory. In Miami, with Norris having a fully upgraded car and Oscar Piastri receiving half the upgrades, while Ferrari had not yet introduced its new spec, McLaren was fast in the high downforce corners. However, Ferrari still excelled in terms of traction out of slow corners. In Imola, Ferrari's Carlos Sainz was the fastest out of the corners, but both he and Charles Leclerc lost significant time on the straights to Red Bull and McLaren due to an inefficient energy deployment strategy. Interestingly, in Monaco, while Ferrari was the fastest in putting power down on the straights and through to back, McLaren performed well in some low-speed sections and was quicker than pole-sitter Leclerc through the hairpin and the chicane. More so than outlier Monaco, Canada will perhaps be the best test of whether McLaren has achieved its objectives, given the prevalent combination of low-speed corners and long straights, where efficient drag levels are key. With its many chicanes and long hairpins, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is a loop that emphasizes everything the team used to struggle with, without giving it the kind of high downforce direction changes where it could have caught up. Norris was cautious about the team's Canada prospects, with the high traction and ride compliance demands of the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve likely favoring Ferrari, which has emerged as the best car on bumpy circuits over Red Bull and McLaren. The McLaren car is arguably as competitive as it has been for years. So is 2024 the season things change for the Woking side? Speaking about things changing, they are right now in Alpine. The main news in the F1 world this week is the confirmation that Esteban Ocon will leave Alpine after 5 seasons with the French constructor. The team insists this decision is unrelated to the incident in Monaco, where Ocon made an aggressive move on his teammate heading towards the tunnel. This dynamic will be interesting to observe over the course of the weekend. Despite Bruno Famin hinting that Ocon might be replaced by Jack Doohan in Canada, nothing came of it. Now, with Ocon's future uncertain, he will likely be on his best behavior to attract potential new teams. As for Pierre Gasly, it seems likely he will stay with Alpine, but he is also out of contract this year. The team's recovery from their poor start will be crucial to his decision to remain with them in Enston. For the first time since the start of the 2022 season, Red Bull do not look the unstoppable force that they have been. Monaco was the latest sign of trouble, but Miami was another indication that Red Bull could be beaten. Christian Horner has long hinted that Red Bull's time at the top will not be forever, but even he may be surprised by just how quick the likes of McLaren and Ferrari seem to be this year. Canada is a circuit that provides a unique challenge, and it will not be until F1 goes to a more traditional track in Barcelona that we get a true reading of the team's competitiveness. But with Red Bull's gap down to 24 points, their rivals may be smelling blood in the water. There is an element of uncertainty heading into this weekend's race, as the circuit has been completely resurfaced since the last F1 event held there. Pirelli predicts that the track's existing characteristics of low abrasiveness and reduced grip should remain unchanged, but they acknowledge that they cannot be certain until their engineers conduct initial measurement tests on Wednesday. Being a street circuit frequently used by pedestrians and cyclists, lap times are expected to drop significantly as the surface gets rubbered in. Therefore, going out as late as possible in qualifying will be crucial for securing a good grid position. Regarding the race, Pirelli suggests that graining may occur with the softer compounds, but overall, Montreal is one of the easiest tracks of the season on tyres. Additionally, for the kerbs, the Turn 4 and 5 chicane has had its tarmac replaced with grass, making it more costly for drivers who go off track there. It will be an interesting race, which will tell us a lot about whether or not either Ferrari or McLaren will be able to attack Red Bull this year. Because if the Milton Keynes doesn't win on this race as well, we might as well have a serious title fight in our hands this year. What do you think? Who will win the Montreal GP? Let us know down in the comments below, and we will see you in our next video.